All right, we are live and let's jump into what we usually do during these Friday night lives. Tonight, I really want to give my panel a chance to briefly introduce themselves because I am very aware that because it is January World Carnivore Month, we are getting a lot of incoming new carnivores and new interested people in this awesome lifestyle. So let's go around the table. Let's share how long we've been living this awesome carnivore lifestyle and the most major things we've healed. So, my name is Bella. I've been carnivore for 6 years, actually, high fat carnivore for 6 years. I've completely reversed eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, cystic acne, and brought back my period. Coach Raymond, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Coach Raymond. I've been carnivore for 8 years, really, a year keto in that, but 8 years. And I've had many issues, diverticulitis being my main one. I've also had pre-diabetes. I've had gout, bone spur, heel spurs, plantar fasciitis, so many things. But carnivore gave me a second life. You know, it's like it's almost like I had a second chance in life. It's a different life, and it's a very pleasurable life. I really love feeling like I'm really living for the first time in my life. So this has been a very pleasant 7 years. So that's my story.
Love it. Phil, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Phil Smith. I'm 67, live in Florida. I'm a retired family physician and medical informaticist, which means a little bit of a computer nerd. And I have a master's in physiology. I've been carnivore for 17 plus months and got to do it to mainly reverse metabolic syndrome, which I did in 4 months, but have had some other things go away, rotator cuff tendonitis, folliculitis, and just feel great overall. And really here to provide you a lot of human physiology information of how our body should be functioning, and looking forward to getting your questions to be answered tonight.
Fantastic. And Limitless Lindy, introduce yourself.
Hi, Lindy here. I'm 53 years and I'm the Aussie on the team from Australia. So, oi, oi, oi. I've been carnivore 3 years. I've just celebrated my 3-year anniversary. And
Wow.
I was on this for weight loss. I was over around 800 pounds, which is around 350 kilos. And I've lost over 500 pounds, 150 kilos. So still on my weight loss journey, got a bit more to go yet, but feeling great. The best thing is my lipedema have greatly improved. I no longer have migraines. I used to have them weekly. Mobility is so much better now. Obviously, balance issues improved. Just all the things that you get with being such a larger person. My joints are much better. I thought I would need a hip replacement, and I'm walking again and not needing that. Got my life back, traveling and fit behind the wheel of a car. Definitely a brand new life now. So yeah, all thanks to the team and Carnivore Diet. So
love you, Lindy. And before we get to Todd, that's amazing. I want to just shout out our GoFundMe for Lindy's skin removal surgery. So we're almost at the goal to make this surgery happen. And we're just going to quickly drop in the link in the live chat box. It is also linked down below this live stream. So if you guys want to click open that description, you'll be able to check out that GoFundMe so that Lindy can get this surgery. Sorry to put you on the spot, Lindy, but this definitely needs to happen. Okay, great. Todd. Of course. Go ahead.
So I'm Todd Bockness. I'm 41 years old, and I've been carnivore a little over 2 years now, going on 2 years, 1 month. I'm down a little over 300 pounds. I've cured depression, anxiety, congestive heart failure. I was oxygen dependent on 6 liters of home oxygen every day. I have lymphatic issues that are greatly improved in the last 2 years on carnivore, and just completely mobile again. Have my life back. Really pulled me out of a pretty tough spot, and just getting better every day. So.
Amazing. So big round of applause to this entire panel. Every week we feature a different variety of my carnivore friends, but tonight is extra special because just hear all of their stories just now. So we have a good variety of expertise and experience with all things carnivore. So as we jump into the questions and help you guys troubleshoot, it is very important that you open up your question with a capital Q, and then you request the specific member of tonight's panel and type out their name. So if you want Raymond to answer your question, you'll do a capital Q, Raymond, then go ahead and type your question. And we're going to go from order first to last and do as many as we can tonight. And then Super Chats will cut the line, I guess. So let's start with the first question. I'm going to put it up right on the screen from Target Prime Rib. Wow, nice. Okay, so his question, I was in a wheelchair and a knee scooter last year. Finally, I am walking again without help. Congratulations. Keto carnivore obviously has helped my wounds and back heal, but I still have trouble in my thigh. And then here's the second part. That causes me to have trouble walking for distances. Do you think it could be from my back issues, which was caused by an infection that settled into my spine, or the many foot operations? And that is his full question. Phil, do you want to take this first?
Well, I don't think we have enough information to really answer that question. Because it could be due to either, or it could be totally unrelated. I hope you're seeing your doctor and getting a diagnosis for that. Having an infection in your spine can leave residual problems, and I'd want to know that the infection got cleared up. And if it's just residual inflammation, that should improve over time with the carnivore way of eating. But so I wish we had a little bit more information, Target Prime Rib, of what your doctor is saying on this.
Yeah, it is quite general in info. So we'll circle back if you can give us some more details. Great. Thanks, Todd. This is from Nav. Good to see you, and thank you so much. Anyone ever saw meat? I could have sworn I saw it once. I think it was the tough part of the steak you don't really eat. I don't quite understand the question here. Anyone ever saw? Oh, like actually use a saw?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I'd like to tackle this as a humor part.
Sure,
So
man.
there's this, and I wanted to watch this movie, but I haven't watched it yet. It's called The Hunger, and it's a Thai movie. And he brought out this big giant slab of A5 meat. He's like, don't saw it. He's like, one slice right through. Something about the importance of that. So it's very funny now that you mentioned that. Apparently, maybe it makes a difference whether you saw or you slice. I don't know the difference.
Yeah, a lot of.
Go ahead, Phil.
Well, a lot of butchers use bandsaws to cut up the big hunks of meat in the butcher shops. I've watched videos of them doing it. If I tried to do that, I would be missing some fingers.
Oh, okay. Meat in the stool is what he meant.
Wait, what?
He just added a vital piece of information.
Oh.
Like here we are guessing.
Totally off. Darn.
No worries.
I still don't know what it means. So,
well, he's saying, has anybody ever seen meat in their stool?
Oh, see, meat in their stool. Nothing about salt.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna watch that movie though, Raymond.
Yeah.
No, I've never seen meat in my stool. Never ever.
Meat in your stool?
Yeah.
Wow, never.
If you have meat in your stool, then you've got either a rapid transit system going where the food is going through you too quick, or you have acolysis, which is total lack of stomach acid. And that is a condition. It could be medically induced. So it's not normal to see meat in your stool. When meat hits the stomach, the hydrochloric acid in your stomach begins the digestive process, and then pancreatic enzymes called lipases and proteases begin the breakdown. And in the small intestine, most of that, all those proteins and fats and any carbohydrates are absorbed. And by the time it gets to your colon, nothing should be recognizable if it's digestible. So if you're not digesting meat, that typically points to achloresis, which is lack of stomach acid, or a short gut from surgery would do it. And if things are moving through your intestinal system too quickly due to an issue, those would be the three things that I would say. And I would be worried that there might be, I mean, there are rarely, I mean, a person could shed a colon polyp and it could appear like meat in your stool. And if you're age 50 or higher, I would recommend you see a doctor and get a colonoscopy done.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully that helps, Nav. Hi, Caleb. Caleb is back. So good to see you. And Caleb, by the way, just started his own YouTube channel where he will be sharing and documenting his carnivore progress. He just turned 16. So this is a very important channel that we can all support. Yeah. Okay, Caleb says, Bella, how are you so confident on camera? I'm not, but thank you. It makes me pretty nervous to be on camera. Well, okay. So I literally was talking about this with Lindy and some of the team the other day where I said, my first time being in front of a camera to film my first ever YouTube video for my channel, it took me at least 100 tries to make that video happen. I was stuttering every other word, feeling so uncomfortable, awkward, like an idiot, all of it. Like I couldn't even look at the camera because it felt so unnatural, and that's normal. Can you imagine someone films their first video in front of a camera and they're perfect at it? That's a bit off, right? So you want to just feel like you are talking to a friend. Pretend you're talking to your brother, your little sister, right? And you're teaching them how to go carnivore, or you're telling them about your carnivore progress. That helped me a lot, is to just imagine I'm speaking to a friend. So absolutely, it takes a lot of practice, okay? So practice, try your best, and imagine that you're speaking to a friend. Can't wait to watch your videos.
Bella, how did you get over the perfection mindset? Like it had to be perfect before I got it out. I mean,
well, I don't think I ever have, to be honest. Like it's still very much there, a part of me. But I think, I don't know, for me, if I feel like I'm going to put out a video, I want to make sure at least that I'm putting out something that I truly care about. And that's what really carries me throughout these years, like posting videos over and over and exploring new topics, is I care about this so much. And every single day I get DMs and comments about how carnivore has touched other people's lives, people that I don't even know. I realize quickly that I'm part of something way bigger than I think. It is a huge movement, and it is changing lives, and it's changing our future. Yeah.
I love that.
So
I want to add that it's very hard to watch yourself on camera. When I go back and watch an interview, the recent one that I did with Raymond and Bella, and it's just like, oh my goodness, my head's bobbing all over the place. My eyes are closed. I mean, it's easy to be critical of yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think the most important thing is to talk about things that you know about, as opposed to things that you have a casual awareness of or you just found out about. So when you talk about something that you're passionate about, it really doesn't matter how imperfect your presentation is if the content is great. So I would encourage you, Caleb, to do great content and something that you really are familiar with early on, and you will grow as your knowledge comes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic advice. Yeah. Todd, do you have advice for Caleb?
don't listen to yourself on camera. When mom plays my YouTube videos in the living room and I can hear my voice, it drives me insane. I'm like, how do people listen to this? Shut them off. I don't like to hear the sound of my own voice on camera for some reason. But as long as I don't see that, then I'm fine, because I just am blissfully ignorant to how it sounds. I guess a lot of people are that way. I found out they don't like to hear themselves speak on recording, but there's something about it that is just nauseating to me to listen to myself on camera. But after that, I 100% agree. Just doing, just having a conversation. That's why I've never been able to really make videos, but I do live streams, because I'm just talking to you guys. You guys are just my friends. I'm just talking to you guys, and it makes it really
like
easy.
that.
Way more fun. I agree.
So I'll give you a little physiology on that, Todd. We listen to ourselves through bone conduction, not through air conduction. And so when you record yourself and play it, you're actually hearing it with no bone conduction when you're listening to it externally, like on a tape recorder or a video playback. And that's why it sounds. So everyone who has never heard their recorded voice is always going to feel like they really sound weird.
So I have a question then, because me and my brother have very, very similar voices. Like, people all the time, when I answer the phone or John answers the phone, they can't tell the difference between us. I
can attest to that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Voice.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So it's funny, but when I hear my brother John, he sounds way different than when I hear my own voice on a recording. And so that's what flips me out, because I'm like, I must not hear my voice how everybody else hears my voice when I hear it played back.
Correct.
Okay.
You hear it the way it's recorded. So watch this video playback and you'll hear what we have to listen to.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. That my brother's voice, when I hear my brother's voice audibly, not through the bone conduction, that to me sounds
you're listening to your voice. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But when I hear my voice on recording, I'm like, I don't sound like that. Neither does my brother that everybody says I sound like.
Oh, okay. We'll do a video together and have you both talk, and then listen to it playback and see why everyone else thinks you're the same person on the phone.
Yeah.
Because I think you're going to find, if you do a tandem where you're both on the screen at the same time, because there's always some audio processing that occurs. Also, because digital recordings are not the same as the human ear. So, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I might have to try that then. Interesting.
Great excuse to bring him on.
How's that for useless knowledge?
Exactly.
Useless knowledge.
You're all a little dumber for having listened to us talk about that.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got another one from Nav. Thank you, Nav. It was the tough part of steak that I saw, and I think I also saw butter in his stool. And funny you mentioned acid. I was thinking of asking about taking Betta HCL. I do have IBS and have had IBS for a while. I got a colonoscopy a while ago, so maybe the HCL can help. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, well, obviously what we call the collagen or gristle of a steak, may not change in appearance, but the muscle of the steak should definitely change in appearance. But if you eat like 3 ears of corn, you're going to see corn pass through your colon, and you're still going to see kernels of corn, because humans don't digest cellulose, and we don't digest bone, and we don't digest big pieces of collagen or cartilage. So yes, but I don't call cartilage meat. I think of meat as being the muscle part, the red part or the white part of the chicken. So I'm sorry if I misled you. I doubt if you've been carnivore for a while, you don't need to add betaine HCL just because of that, unless you're having GERD or something like that, which is gastroesophageal reflux. So
yeah.
There was a question that cycled through also. I want to make sure we answer about the CKD. So
Yeah. And
after
I'm
you're done
Got it.
commenting.
Yeah. And we got
Got
one
it.
more
Yeah.
of these and then.
Okay.
Wait,
Cisse,
where are we?
welcome back. Thank you. Do you guys see it, the question?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So Cisse says, is there any way to lower cholesterol without taking statins? Not a big fan. Oh, by the way, shout out to Phil. I posted a video where he talks extensively about statins and also an update on his own carnivore journey. And it is a fantastic presentation / interview video. I highly recommend you guys watch it. It's on my videos tab. But Cisse, good question. I'm going to first have Phil tackle it, if you don't mind, Phil.
Okay. No, I don't mind at all. Now, when we talk about lipids, we talk about total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, HDL cholesterol, and triglycerides. And ideally, we want to have our HDL cholesterols tend to go up on carnivore. Our triglycerides tend to go down on carnivore. And our LDL cholesterol and total cholesterol tend to go up on carnivore. Now, those are all favorable changes to us when those things happen. The HDL cholesterol, when it is low and when the triglycerides are high, that's usually an indication of some type of insulin resistance, which means metabolically your liver is not as healthy as it could be. And you want to improve those, and carnivore way of eating will do that. If your HDL is high and your triglycerides, and by HDL high, I mean 50 or higher, and in women, healthy women, we often see HDL cholesterols in the 90s. I've seen a couple over 100. And triglycerides, we want under 150, but we see many carnivores whose triglycerides go way under 100. I think, Bella, yours was 14 one time, which I've never seen before. You're the first one I've ever heard to have it less than 20, but under 100 is totally good. Those are actually favorable metabolic things and do not actually are protective to the atherogenic process, or the process that is we call clogging of arteries, the bad health things. Now, LDL cholesterol is very interesting because not and not all LDL is created normal, created equal. There is a large fluffy LDL cholesterol particle that actually goes up when you're fat adapted. And when you're fat adapted, that LDL is carrying fat around as a fuel source, because when you're fat adapted, you aren't producing as much glucose, and you need that fat to be in circulation so the cells can use it. But before you're fat adapted, early in your carnivore journey, your LDL often goes up because your body doesn't know what to do with it. And the longer you're carnivore, the better your LDL cholesterol will get. But in that first year, you may see it go up. And when it goes up, your total cholesterol goes up. It may freak out your doctor. And if you don't have any existing cardiovascular disease, coronary artery disease, you should see that as an adaptive process and not a worrisome process. But if you have had a heart attack or have known atherosclerotic plaque, it's a little different situation. But again, it's a factor that there's so many factors you have to take in consideration on whether or not you need to worry about that number, because it is a number. And that's what my more recent interview with Raymond and Bella is all about. So I hope you watch that, because statins, everyone thinks of statins of lowering LDL, but they have some other actions in the body that may or may not be helpful for a subpopulation. But a lot of people are taking statins just because of a lab test. And the research is questioning that, because you also have to look at the potential side effect of taking a statin, which is inflammation of the liver, muscle injury. And there's some other things that occur in a small subpopulation, like mental acuity loss in that. And some people get metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance while taking a statin, and that they didn't have before they took the statin. So if you do end up getting prescribed a statin, number one, know whether or not you're in that category that will get benefit, because many people taking statins, they may be in a subgroup where there'd have to be 200 people all taking statins for one of them to benefit, and the other 199 don't. And I talked about that in a video I did with Bella and Raymond about a year ago. So if you just search for me in the Steak and Butter Gals YouTube catalog, you'll see both those interviews. The first one addresses it from a standpoint of people with no known coronary artery disease, and the second one addresses it with my specific situation, not as a recommendation of what you should do, but to go over a couple very important articles that you should know about for your own discussion with your doctor and your medical decision making.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
I
Thank
just
you, Phil.
wanted to do two things. One, I'm going to pull this up real quick. Sid, I did
Great.
not see a question that goes with this. So if you had one, I just wanted to prompt you to ask a question, and we'll definitely look for it and keep an eye out on it. And then real quick, I just was thinking we should, sorry, let me pull up the graphic. There we go. We should show the
giveaway.
The giveaway. Yes, we need to get
Yes.
people entering that in.
That's right. So tonight we are giving away 2 air fryers from Tasty, which is spelled right there and happens to be the keyword for you all to actually enter this giveaway. So Todd is going to go through the rules or just the requirements to enter this giveaway.
Yeah, so you just whatever channel that you're watching from, just subscribe to that channel, like the video, and then put hashtag tasty, just as you see spelled here, which is all capital hashtag TASTEE, and comment that. And then for every channel that you go and follow and comment on that channel, which is all in the description of these videos, you will get an extra drawing. And in 30 minutes, we will spin the wheel for all the entries, and somebody's winning a Tasty air fryer. So
Yeah.
And then we're going to do it again, the second one.
So
later.
it's hashtag tasty, not just tasty, right?
Yep, hashtag tasty.
Yeah.
And it has to be all caps, right?
Yep.
Oh, it has to be all
Okay,
caps.
guys.
Cool.
All caps. Don't do
All right.
lowercase. I see some lowercase. Okay,
Yeah.
correct. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, Todd. This is Nav again. Thoughts on a bile supplement. Raymond, what are your thoughts?
Thoughts about what kind of bile supplements, like ox bile? Just look for anything.
Or I
that's,
think he's saying just taking one in general. Do you
taking one in
recommend it?
general. I personally don't. I would like to see, your body, how it's operating right now on fats, and then make that decision. So, for example, I had diarrhea for like the first 8 or 9 months. Could I have benefited from ox bile? I did try it for a little bit, maybe not long enough. It didn't really make much of a difference. But so what I'm saying is that some things is just part of adapting. If it's not painful, if it doesn't hurt, I mean, bet it's worth a try. So you could, let's say if you've been carnivore for 3 months, add it in if you wanted to for like a month and see what happens. So to me, that's the best way to find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there
So
any
Nav,
brands that
even
you recommend, Bella? We don't recommend
brands.
ox bile brands. Yeah.
Well, you see, you and I are very similar in that we never really leaned on any supplements ever during our carnivore journey. And we've really just stuck it out if we had adaptation symptoms. And it worked for both of us. But brands wise, I can't really answer that because I've never taken any. Phil, have you ever taken any?
No, I haven't. I think bile supplements may be helpful when people have had their gallbladder taken out that have issues when they first start out. But within about 90 days of being carnivore, your bile duct, even if you don't have a gallbladder, your bile duct should be functioning normal by then, and you probably won't need it. But some people do have to lean into it. So two situations that I would be concerned that I need a bile supplement. One is if you get a really alkaline regurgitation, we call that bile reflux. It's not a burning reflux, it's a extremely sour taste coming up in the back of your throat. So that's different than acid reflux. That's actually called bile reflux. And the second situation would be if you're just having persistent loose stools with lots of fat globules in your stools, or your stools are floating. Those are indication that you don't have enough bile to really digest the fat. That's known as diarrhea, and that will be helped with a bile supplement.
Nice.
Yeah, very helpful. Now, Raymond, he has a follow-up for you here. Nav says, I have diarrhea for 8 or 9 months now. So Raymond, can you talk about it more? Because you did mention yours. I still deal with loose stools 8 months now.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. I mean, I've had it, and every now and then I'll get it too, but really it happens mostly after I eat. And then I'll go, and it's when I say it's diarrhea, it's just sorry to be gross, but it's just, I go, it's like 2 minutes later, done. So that didn't bother me. It's just, and it wasn't much, but it's enough. It was diarrhea. And now, when I deal with clients, though, I do make sure to be careful with explosive diarrhea. So that's a little different. And I've had that too. Now, with explosive diarrhea was different because I always felt like I was very drained afterwards. So I knew that consecutively having that type of diarrhea would be a big no-no. But just to give you hope, 9 months later, it was kind of, just getting regular, and it would be in and out. And then, solid stools were the norm after a little while. So as long as it didn't bother me as far as pain or the feeling of I barely noticed it. So I didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I would be concerned about lactose intolerance in someone that's having loose stools. So always consider that. Are you able to digest milk protein? So have you done a couple weeks of no dairy, milk, cream, heavy cream, and just 2 weeks straight of totally eliminating that diet from your diet and see what happens. Butter, most people can tolerate and digest okay, even though it's made from butter fat. But I would try that, and sometimes cutting down or increasing the frequency, but cutting down the size of the feeds of your meals for a couple weeks, just as an experiment too, might help.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
And now, Sid, thank you so much, Sid. We got Sid's question now.
Perfect. Welcome, Sid. So Sid says, hi all, I have trigeminal neuralgia and eczema.
You got that.
Oh, great. Thank you.
That's nice.
I started Lion Diet. I started Lion Diet 3 weeks ago in the hopes that it will help me. Also, is it too soon to see any improvements? Phil?
I have a feeling I'm going to get this one too. So let me explain for everyone what trigeminal neuralgia is. So you have 12 cranial nerves, and those are your special senses and the nerves that supply feeling to and motion to your face, but it's also your hearing, your eyes, your taste buds, everything above the neck pretty much are cranial nerves. And the fifth cranial nerve has 3 branches. It's known as the trigeminal nerve. The top branch provides sensation to your forehead. The second branch of the trigeminal nerve supplies sensation to your mid-face, and the lower one, your lower jaw area. That's the third cranial, trigeminal. So we call those V1, V for the Roman numeral 5. So we call it V1, V2, and V3. Trigeminal neuralgia is an inflammatory process that we don't know why people get. And it's typically manifest by extreme pain, typically in the V2, but I have seen it in V1. And it's also a very common complication of a shingles infection, but we've seen people get it for no reason. Eczema is a skin condition that occurs either as infantile eczema, which is associated with kids that develop asthma, and then we have adult eczema, where the skin is very dry and flaky and very rough. Both of those have an incredible amount of inflammation as their etiology too. And I think you made a really good decision going on the Lion diet, because that is one of the most anti-inflammatory aspects of carnivore, of what you can do. Now, the question is, how soon will I see improvement? That no one can predict for you. With healing a peripheral nerve, the general rule of thumb is you heal about 3 millimeters per week. And so when you have an inflamed nerve, you have what's called the ganglion of the nerve, which is the body of the nerve cell. And then you have what we call the axons of the nerve, which are what extends to the part of your face you're going to. So fortunately, trigeminal nerve is shorter than like the sciatic nerve, which has to go all the way from your spinal cord around your tailbone all the way down to your toe. The trigeminal nerve has only about 4 inches at max to go. So if we use that for calculations, we would anticipate you to improve at about 3 to 6 months and start seeing some gradual improvement. It's not going to be night or day. It's going to be one day you're going to wake up and say, wow, I'm having a good day. And you may get a little increased sensation to the portion of your face that's affected, whether it's V1, V2, 3, while it's going healing. Now with eczema, Bella, you have had a lot of inflammatory skin conditions. I've seen some people take as long as 2 years to clear it up, but what's your experience? You had cystic acne, psoriasis, and acne rosacea, didn't you?
That's right.
Which
Yep.
are all just cousins of eczema.
Yeah. And it took 6 months, I want to say, for me to see noticeable results, not for it to completely be reversed. So I feel like in my healing journey, the skin healed the last. It definitely took the longest to heal and get better. And I also grew up with those prescription topical creams, and I needed to lean on those just to be able to like keep it at bay and not itch all the time. So from prescription creams all the time, ever since I can remember, to not needing it at all and never having an issue, that is life-changing. And so something like that will take a bit longer, especially if you have more of a severe case of eczema, Sid. So hopefully that helps too.
On the neuropathy part, I want to relate on that. So as far, well, I guess that's what you kind of could consider it, nerve damage. So I used to have like a foot neuropathy where I couldn't feel my foot. I guess tendency for my pre-diabetes. And then all of a sudden I started noticing these weird tingles first. And I think we talked about it, Todd, where you noticed the same thing, right?
For sure.
And then now I feel all my toes. So it's really interesting. But it was pretty bad at first because those tingles were really weird.
Yeah, the telltale sign of that was that I bought that pad that shoots electricity into your feet to make the nerves, the muscles tense up.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it wasn't working. And then I thought it was because I had dry skin. So I got my feet wet and put it on there. And that thing, I couldn't feel anything. And I had it cranked up to 20. And I thought, well, this thing's not working. I put it up on my desk and I put my forearms onto it, and that thing lynched me up. I mean, it was like getting hit by a strong horse fence when I was a kid. So what I realized though was that my nerves weren't even, I wasn't even able to get shocked in my feet because the nerve damage was real, was so prevalent or whatever. But after 6 months, I started being able to get the muscles to cleanse up again through that little nerve pad. It was kind of crazy. That was kind of an interesting little thing.
It would be interesting. You've heard of phantom pain where people have amputations and they still feel the limb and they have pain in the limb that's not there.
Yeah.
I would love to know if anyone in the carnivore community has unfortunately had an amputation at some point due to diabetes or whatever, and whether or not phantom pain would go away.
True.
I've heard quite a few cases of trigeminal neuralgia going away, so I'm very encouraged by that. You'll get a lot of advice about taking additional B vitamins and things like that too. And, I think that, that there's not going to be any harm in doing that. I don't think you really need to do it. I think if you're carnivore, you're going to get all the vitamins you need. So, but some people just do it because it gives them something to do. And
Right.
a lot of people develop neuropathies due to vitamin deficiencies. But if you're really truly a carnivore, by the way, I just had got my result back Wednesday. I had my blood work that I talked about I was having when we recorded that recent interview 3 months ago. And I've been off the vitamin D. Remember, pre-carnivore, I had a vitamin D of 8.
Right.
And I was taking 5,000 units a day for several years. And in November, after being carnivore for a year, I decided to stop the vitamin D and supplement and see what would happen. And my vitamin D level came back 58.
58.
I
That's
think,
amazing.
which is
That's incredible.
really good. Yeah, it's the highest I've ever had. So I was pretty pleased with that. So
with no vitamin D. That's
with
amazing.
no vitamin D supplements. Yeah. So I thought that would be helpful to share with people. Okay, it's just one more thing I got rid of. Yep.
Wow, that's
Wow,
awesome.
amazing.
Congrats. Okay, moving on. This is Larks Homesteadish. Welcome. Dr. Smith, would it be safer for people with what is this? No CV risks to ease
known cardiovascular risks.
Known.
So you have known cardiovascular. So he has a thoracic aneurysm and Kawasaki's disease. Kawasaki is a disease that is we don't know what causes it. It could be autoimmune. It could be viral. Typically occurs in children, and it causes aneurysms of the coronary artery. So the arteries that supply your heart, they actually balloon up and get very, very weak. And there's other symptoms that go along with it, but the coronary inflammation that occurs with Kawasaki's is classic and part of the syndrome. A thoracic aneurysm means that his aorta, when it comes off the left ventricle, the top part of his aorta is ballooning. So the wall of it was weakened. And he has Crohn's disease, which is inflammatory bowel disease. So I've not heard that associated with Kawasaki's, but obviously this is someone that's dealing with a lot of autoimmune disease. And that is your biggest risk factor, is your autoimmune disease. So the way I balance this is eating in the carnivore is something that Bella recently talked about on a video about you either jump in or you ease into it to get your digestive tract accommodating the change, because all of us go through adaptation changes. some quicker
Mm.
than others. But
Mhm.
as far as if I have a potential life-threatening condition, I would be more interested in doing something in the treatment realm, because we're not talking prevention, we're talking treatment, then I would be worried about my maladaptation and my easing into it. So I'm the kind of person I would want to get her done and get on it and really see if I can get some healing, because there are so many people reporting reversal of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis on the carnivore way of eating. I doubt if there's many people with Kawasaki's, because normally that affects children. And, you don't find a lot of children on carnivore yet, but those children with Kawasaki's are all going to grow up. And I would see no harm with being a carnivore. I could only see benefit of being a carnivore. Thoracic aneurysms, we don't know the natural course of those. And those need to be monitored with ultrasound to see if they're growing or not. And there are now some mechanical treatments as well as surgical treatments for it. But you should definitely be followed by a cardiologist who will keep a cardiothoracic surgeon who's going to keep an eye on both the Kawasaki's and the thoracic aneurysm. So that's my opinion on it. But
Awesome.
I wouldn't ease into it. I would get on it.
Yeah, get on it.
Thank you so much for that, Phil. By the way, let's just give some appreciation for Phil. I feel like there's never enough shout outs for Phil because, yes, round of
So
applause.
much appreciation. I mean, it's amazing to have a doctor of your quality here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm not here to be a carnivore expert. I'm here to be a carnivore who has a master's in physiology and an MD degree. And,
Yeah.
I've had those from 45 years, and I like to, share things I learned from research and things that I see every day in the Steak and Butter Gang community, which are pretty amazing. And, we wish we had more and more studies and things, and those will come with time. But it's kind of hard when you see so many people with so many autoimmune diseases and metabolic diseases who come into the carnivore community, both in SBG and in other communities, and just have tremendous healing. And, prior to diving into this myself, these are levels of healing that I would not have anticipated from my medical training.
Well, that brings up a good question, Phil. I wanted to bring this up earlier. Did you see this one?
Yeah, I did. And I think this is an important question. Just curious, you being a doctor as a career, why only 17 months carnivore? I would think you had the resources to believe in carnivores years ago. Well, this is really interesting. So call me stupid, but I honestly wasn't on social media. I had never heard of carnivore. I tripped over it. I was diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, and I knew I had to do something. So I immediately went on a ketogenic diet, knowing that all the research that ketogenic diets are the best thing you can do for metabolic syndrome. And there's lots and lots of studies in the medical literature. There's very little mention of carnivore in the medical literature, but there's a lot of research and proven effects of ketogenic diets for treating everything from type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. I mean, we used to, before insulin was manufactured, until we could extract insulin and knew what it was, if you were born in the early 20th century, you would have been treated, type 1 diabetes would have been treated with ketogenic diet. Now, we don't treat anyone with type 1 diabetes with ketogenic diet alone, but ketosis was the only way to keep you out of a complication called ketoacidosis, which is totally different than ketosis. But we also treated epilepsy with ketogenic diets at the beginning of the last century, 100 years ago. So I was very familiar with ketogenic diets, but I was just on YouTube trying to find some good techniques to make the food more alluring as on a ketogenic diet. And all of a sudden I ran onto Homestead How, Carrie Mann, doing an interview with this guy called Sean White and talking about Frigno. I'm blanking on
Frigno
his
Freedom.
Frigno Freedom. Yeah. What's his first name? I'm blanking on.
Dante.
Dante Faringo. Yeah. And so I went to Dante's videos. I went to Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Chafee, and I stumbled on SBG, but didn't pay a lot of attention to that because I was trying to listen to the doctors and deep dive into all the medical research and everything, and began doing it. So this is a path of discovery. And this is one of the reasons that I'm here as when I can be to talk about it, because you never know who's going to hear something and will they be compelled to even believe it, because there's so much information out there on YouTube. And, it just is so contraintuitive to what we're taught. It throws everything upside down. And me as a scientist, I want to know that what I'm doing has legitimate physiologic basis. And if you think about it, carnivore is just one of the strictest ketogenic diets, because essentially you're driving yourself to 0 to 2 carbs a day, maybe under 10 carbs if you eat a lot of eggs. But it is nothing more than an extreme ketogenic experience. And what we see is many people get started with ketogenic diets, start to get some improvement in their health, but then when they ratchet it down to full carnivore, they have dramatic improvements in their health. So, and I look at Todd and Lindy, who started over 700 pounds, and you think about, I'm inspired by them because you don't think about the lifestyle of a 700-pound person, that you can't even anticipate sitting in public on someone's chair because you don't even know if it's going to hold you, and you can't get into the car, and you can't, the stigma attached to it. And to see someone like Lindy, who's, reduced 500 pounds just eating meat. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then you look at Bella's case history and Raymond's case history, and so many people, and look at their before and after pictures. I mean, it's hard to believe Raymond's the same person, because he doesn't even look like Raymond. I mean, he looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. No offense, Raymond, but
it's real. It's
just
real.
Typical overweight and inflamed.
Yeah.
And Bella had all these skin conditions that were pretty obvious, and she called it the Buddha bloat. Buddha belly.
The bloat.
And and the longer you're in a community when you're in a community of thousands of people, it's hard to not take this serious. And because you see so many people like Rebecca Heichman, who's, I mean, she looked like a Auschwitz survivor, and just all these autoimmune situations that she was able to heal and have a baby a year and a half ago. I mean, unbelievable. She's lucky she didn't die, but you see these reversals. So that's my story. I'm still not on social media. So, but I'm out here hoping that someone stumbles onto a video, and the more content that gets out there, the better chance we have of reaching people. And I talk to all my doctors about it. And now they just expect a conversation with me about carnivore when I'm in the office. So where most of them had never heard of it before. before me as a patient.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
Oh,
well, thanks for asking that question, Rock Roll. That was good.
that's a great question. Yes. Now, Todd, if I can just feature a comment here that I saw from Michelle. Just wanted to let you know that Dr. Phil Smith's link to his website is not working. So that link should work now. And just a heads up, that's just the Steak and Butter Gang link that he wanted to link his contact to. So just so you all know, like Phil said, he is not on social media, but he is in the Steak and Butter Gang community. And I just want to shout out Phil extra tonight because we don't get him every single week on these Friday night live streams. But every time he does show up, the community really loves his info, how he teaches it. And you can access him and contact him and communicate with him in the community as well, just in case you wanted to know that. Okay?
And we have a lot of fun in the community. I mean, we all
It's the
get to know
best.
each other, and it's just really fun to be part of a community because I call us all contrarians. We are doing what the average person won't do in order to have what the average person will never have.
Wow. I love that.
Well, and some of the things you see, I was, well, I'm going to shout out Damon today because he got a DEXA scan and he's been,
Ooh.
doing this a couple months with you guys now. And he was a little bit, he was hopeful, but he's an OBS guy. And he told us today he got his new DEXA scan and he lost 10 out of 11 pounds of visceral fat. He only has 1 pound left in just 2 months of priming.
That's amazing.
What?
He's so fit already. He was fit when he first started. So to 10 pounds of this.
Right. And he said, he said, I went and had this because he goes, it made no sense to me because I'm eating so much meat and I'm eating so many calories. And he come from a background of weightlifting and, dietary calorie restriction. He said he's been counting macros and calories for, a couple of decades. And so it was blowing his mind that he goes, my breakfast was 1,900 calories.
Wow.
And he's like,
yeah. And I think we ought to shout out to Dr. Sean O'Mara, who has really put a spotlight on the intra-abdominal, what we call visceral fat, the belly fat, that not the stuff that people get liposuction for, which is the subcutaneous fat, but the visceral fat that is so connected to your metabolic health. And people need to realize that doing a liposuction is a cosmetic procedure. It's not going to get you metabolically healthier.
Right.
But that visceral fat is part of your visceral metabolic syndrome that you just want to get rid of, and to as much as you can, because if you have a lot of visceral fat, you may actually have fat invading your organs, which are impeding the function of your liver and your heart, your muscles, and a lot of other organs in your body. So just a thought. So shout out to him.
That's awesome.
That's right. Okay, moving on. This is RC Kingdom. Welcome. Hey guys, I tested positive for H. pylori infection in the stomach, which they say makes it hard to break down fats. Any advice? I've been carnivore for 4 months. Who wants to take this first? Raymond?
I can say with the H. pylori that I have seen it go away just doing carnivore and no antibiotics. So that's for sure. So that part's good. Now, as far as breaking down fats, I don't know if there's a relation with the pylori in breaking down fats. And my question is when you eat fats, what happens? Are you noticing it in the bathroom? Are you noticing globules coming up on the, are certain fats going down there? So that's kind of what I was thinking, but sorry to send that to you, Phil. But
Yeah. So again, let's do a little basic background. H. pylori stands for Heliobacter pylori, which is a bacteria that inhabits the stomachs of the gastric lining. It has a preference for the lining of your stomach, and is the major cause for ulcers and gastritis. So years ago, we thought ulcers were due to stress, too much acid, due to an overactive vagus nerve. And now we know that H. pylori is the most common. Now you can still get stress ulcers, which typically occur in ICU patients and trauma and damage such as ingesting caustic liquids and things like that. But H. pylori is something that doesn't belong in our stomach, and it's treated. If you go the antibiotic treatment, it's actually treated with a 3-drug regimen for about 90 days in most cases. It's diagnosed with a breath test, although it can be diagnosed by a stomach biopsy. So often it's found when they do endoscopy or look down at the stomach with a fiber optic telescope, and they do biopsies of the stomach, and they have to do special stains for H. pylori to see it, which is why we didn't know about it back in the 70s when I was training. We were doing a lot of stomach surgeries for ulcer prevention, and we had egg in our face in the 80s when we found H. pylori. And for the last 40 years, treating H. pylori has kind of been the standard of care. Going carnivore will certainly make you more resistant, in my opinion, because you have to have healthy stomach acid. As you get carnivore, your stomach acid, your whole intestinal tract gets healthier, and you become less susceptible to things like H. pylori. So breaking down fats is usually more related to gallbladder dysfunction and pancreas dysfunction. Is not typically associated with H. pylori, but when you've had an H. pylori insult, you may have had a metabolic insult to your gallbladder or to your pancreas. So my thought is get your H. pylori cleared up. Being a medical doctor, I'm going to recommend the antibiotic therapy, but a lot of people in the carnivore community use natural things to treat it. Again, I come from it from a medical doctor standpoint. I would rather eradicate it and get on with my life and then get everything. But see, vegans and vegetarians are going to approach this different because they're more worried about the biome and things like that, and they're worried about the ill effects of antibiotics. But carnivores actually care least about the biome because it's not critical. All you need is good stomach acid, good proteases, lipases, and amylases to stay in good metabolic health. So I would treat you as someone that has biliary dysfunction or gallbladder dysfunction. I would get the H. pylori resolved, do a breath test to make sure it's resolved. And while you're doing that, cut your meals size down, make them more frequent, and slowly increase fat and see how you do and retrain your biliary tree or your gallbladder and your common bile duct and your pancreas to be able to build its functionality to be more normal. So that's what I would do if it was me. But I think a lot of people in the carnivore community are so against doctors and against antibiotics, and I think it's unfounded for infectious diseases. But I'll put up with the trolls because that's just my opinion. And there's a lot of people in the carnivore community that do get healthy and fix infections without antibiotics, but I'm just not one of them. So I'm just going to call it like it is.
So I want to say just because you said that, my wife actually got H. pylori, and she did one of those tubing things. They put her out and looked into it. And then that was around the time that she was also going to Machu Picchu and all that, and she wanted to get healed really quick. So I got her. She did it for 2 months, and that H. pylori it's like it was never there. It's weird. It was like totally gone. But the treatment that they told her that she was going to have, it was like 3 months, just like you said, 3 months antibiotics, and it was a very, according to them, it was a very I don't want to say destructive. What's the word? Just very harsh antibiotic, they told her. And she didn't want to go that route. So, but it was amazing that in 2 months that happened to her. I was like, wow. So that was one. Of course, I've had clients that's actually done it too. And I'm like, so, you know, I've actually seen it. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
well, and quite frankly, any prolonged antibiotics. So anytime you're taking an antibiotic more than 10 days, it's a harsh treatment.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, there's a certain percentage of the population that can have complications, and some of them are really severe. Candidiasis, which is overgrowth of Candida, which is yeast. You can get what we call superinfections. And these are all very, very serious complications that occur in people. So that, it's not without risk doing the antibiotic route. But getting eradicated and getting your body healthy again, that should be the goal. So, and I'm really glad that 2 months did it for her. And remember, there's always two things: treating the infection and ensuring eradication. So after you're treated, you should always have a breath test done again to make sure there's no H. pylori. And even people who have had ulcers, I recommend testing for H. pylori. Even if they've had a negative test, I would always do another one 90 days down the road after carnivore, just to make sure there's no residual H. pylori in there, because it's pretty sensitive, but it's not 100%. So they can be false negatives.
Nice.
Very few false positives, though. Okay.
Good to know.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's see.
Keep us posted on our H. pylori. Yes. Giveaway time.
Yeah. So let's see. We are going to go ahead and spin the wheel, but I got to say, this number is really low because we got over 600 people in here. So for everybody, I'm going to give you like one more question to get your entries in. And so all you have to do is type in #tasty, all capital letters, as you see on the screen in the chat. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel that you're on and give the video a thumbs up, and you'll be entered. And if you go to all the streams that are on here, which is all the streams are in the chat on this video or on the description of this video, you get another entry in there. So we're just going to pop that out there and we'll give it one more question.
Thank you, Todd. And also, I know that we have a lot of viewers jumping in late, like 20, 30, 50 minutes late. So if you missed it, this is specifically for an air fryer. It's actually the air fryer that I use every single day now. It is fantastic. And we're giving away 2 in this live stream. All you have to do is just type what's in the live chat right now, #capital, all caps, okay? It's important, it's all caps, tasty, with a double E at the end. Okay.
You get a tasty air fryer, right on.
I am curious about the tasty air fryer real quick. Where can you buy it? Where can you buy them at?
You can buy it on Amazon. You can also buy it on their website, tasty.net.
Ah, cool. Amazon. Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. NJ, I had my colon removed. Any suggestions on carnivore? Todd, you still have your colon, right? Or do you not?
I do. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I any of these questions I usually send to Kent Carnivore on YouTube.
Yeah. They told me I almost I had the option of getting my colon removed. Let's put it that way, because of my diverticulitis. And well, it scared me, you know, to get one of those bags. But I mean, that wasn't guaranteed, but still. I can't imagine what that could be like. But Phil?
Yeah, so the most common reason people have their colon removed is due to a disease called ulcerative colitis. The second most common is familial polyposis, which is a genetic defect that runs, it's autosomal dominant, I believe. And if people have it in their family, they form literally thousands of polyps in their colon, and they're predisposed to colon cancer at a very young age. And when you take out the colon, basically, you've not affected your digestion per se. What you affect is your ability for the body to do what the colon does, which is to reabsorb water and electrolytes from your digesting stool. So what you eat, 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 what you e we call it a bolus of food when it's in the stomach. We call it chyme as it goes through the small intestine, and then we call it stool once it's in the colon. So when you've had your colon removed, you have something, in most cases, if you don't have a colon pouch that was created, you have something called an ileostomy, which is where they plug the third part of the intestine, the last of it, into your skin, make a little pouch, and you have to wear a bag. And so you have a lot of watery stool because you're not reabsorbing the water. So as a carnivore, so first off, carnivores would be a really good diet for someone with an ileostomy because you absorb much more of the nutrients that you're eating, and you so you produce less stool to begin with. So that's a real bonus for someone that's got an ileostomy. So the second thing is, again, you have to get your body adapted so that you can get that digestion at the front end of the digestive tract to be as optimal as you can. So if you're new, you want to start out really with small feeds, probably even under eat for the first week and increase it. Eat to hunger, but you want to start out low fat, and you want to so use leaner cuts of meat like sirloin, chicken, things like that, just to give your intestinal tract a little break as you're going through the adaptation to cutting back carbs. And then you want to increase the volume of food. And I would do it measurably over the first 3 months, because you want to get up to normal amounts of meat, which is typically about 1.5 pounds for females and about 2 pounds or 3 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds for males. But I would start smaller than that when you first start out. And you're just trying to get yourself adapted, knowing that you're always going to have loose stools because there's going to be more water in it. But you don't want to hit yourself with a lot of fat right on, because that increases your motility, what we call the peristalsis, and lowers your transit time, which means everything goes through quicker. You really want to go through smaller, and that's why you start with less fat and slowly titrate it up so that your body has time to adapt to that.
Awesome. All right. It's time for an air fryer giveaway. All right, guys, here we go. Good luck. And
Ruth.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Do we know Ruth? Is she an SPG? Are we familiar or no?
I don't know her.
I don't know if it's that Ruth. We know a Ruth, but I don't know if that's her.
Okay. Well, Ruth Gonzalez, if you're busy and not watching here, Ruth Gonzalez, you just won an air fryer. Now, how does she claim her air fryer?
Lindy.
Okay. I remember. I just remember Todd does not know this part. So you just email or you screenshot. Let's show. Oh no. Can we still show her name, Todd?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Perfect. Yep. Okay, Ruth, screenshot here right now, your face, your name, and make sure the screenshot also shows your YouTube account in the screenshot at the top right. And you send that screenshot photo to sbgchallenge@gmail.com. And Lindy, if you don't mind typing that in the live chat, it'll be typed out in the live chat, sbgchallenge.com, and then you can go ahead and claim your air fryer prize. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ruth. That's awesome.
Yay. All right.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, she doesn't need a YouTube channel. It's her YouTube account.
Not. Just her account. Right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to have to step up. So Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for
Awesome.
joining us.
Yeah, I enjoyed being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Take
Raymond.
care,
Have a good night.
See you,
Raymond.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Okay, Matt from the Bay. Welcome, Matt. I'm a new ketovore. Lab results are as follows. And by the way, we do not analyze lab work here. We are not okay. So Phil is a retired MD, but the rest of us, we're not giving medical advice, anyways. Okay, so we can only just give general thoughts,
Including me not getting me medical advice.
including Phil. Thank you. Great.
This is all
So-
informational for you.
Always. So Matt's numbers are right there. I'm not going to read it. Doctor called me about my total cholesterol, and she's scared that over half my cholesterol is LDL. BP, A1C, glucose optimized. What are your thoughts? And Phil, why don't you take that?
Yeah. So you want to look up, do a little research, Google hyperlipid. What is it? The hyperresponder, lean mass hyperresponders. And you're looking for articles by Dr. Feldman, Feldman, and he has some YouTube presentations out there, and that will give you some really good information to go in, and perhaps you might want to print some of Dr. Feldman's articles from pubmed.gov, pubmed.gov. I'll post that in lean mass hyperresponder. So I'll put that in the chat. Lean mass hyperresponder lipid transport theory and Dr. Feldman. Anybody remember Feldman's first name?
Dave.
Okay. And then I also referenced pubmed.gov, which is the where all the medical literature of the world is stored at pubmed.gov. It's a great place to go in and do a search. It has its own search engine, and you can put in terms like that I put in the chat. Did that show up for you guys?
It did.
Did that come through?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, great. But so on typically why you should be focused talking to your doctor about the fact that your HDL cholesterol is going up, your triglycerides are going down, and your LDL is due to fat adaptation, and have that discussion with them. And Feldman has some peer-reviewed articles, and this is an opportunity to educate your doctor. And there's a very good, lots of really good YouTubes out there by Dr. Feldman, and he's an ongoing licensed physician and researcher, and very credible. So
That's awesome.
Yes.
enjoy.
Right on. And we got to load up the next air fryer giveaway.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
this will be
Beef.
for the last air fryer drawing, but it's hashtag beef. So for the rules, if you have to be subscribed to the channel that you're on and commenting on, you have to give the video a thumbs up, and then you just have to comment in the comments here in the chat, hashtag beef, all capital letters. And as you see, people are doing it and the entries are going up, you'll be entered in. And then if you want extra entries, just go to all the YouTube channels that this is streaming on, and subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and also comment in their chat, and you will get extra entries. So there we go.
Good luck. Okay. CSA for Dr. Phil. Can you tell what percentage of your MD colleagues embrace the carnivore lifestyle? We need this number to go up.
Yeah, I don't go to medical conferences anymore because I'm retired. And that is a great question. I wish I knew. I would say it's probably 1% or less. So we have a lot of work to do in the carnivore community. to get
Yes, we
doctors
do.
engaged. I know in my immediate surrounding, people are starting to come to me and ask about it. And it was
Awesome.
funny that my dentist has a lot of patients in her practice now that are carnivores. So she's used to dealing with us, and it's kind of amazing. So
That's awesome.
Yep. Target Prime Rib just wanted to thank you and tell you I wrote some more. Hopefully it explains more. I have a hard time expressing myself. Ooh, did we catch
Thank
his
you.
comments?
I think we did. Yeah.
They were the first
Good.
comments that came up. Yeah. He also asked if there's an email he could send some info to. That's later
Yes,
on in the
absolutely.
chat. So we could probably use that sbgchallenge@gmail.com.
Yep, absolutely.
We can chat to you there.
sbgchallenge@gmail.com. And we'll type it again for Target.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Lacey, anyone have insight on what I can do as a carnivore who has had RNY, revision from ulcers, and a vagotomy to stop acid? Am I losing out on nutrients? Phil.
yeah, great question. So RNY stands for Roux-en-Y, which is a procedure that, oh my goodness, it was when I was a surgical assistant, a surgeon's assistant. I was a PA in surgery before I went to med school, and I spent 12 months in a teaching hospitals, and we were doing ulcer surgery like Roux-en-Y, like 3 or 4 a week. Because that was the standard of care. And now it's not done that often. But basically, they cut off 2/3 of your stomach and they leave one arm of the small intestine connected to the gallbladder and pancreas. And the stub of the stomach that's left, they connect, and it creates a Y appearance. And then they connect that new Y together and route everything into the small intestine. So you've literally separated your bile acids and your pancreatic juices from being the first thing that the food digesting sees when it leaves the stomach, because it's going through a different route. So this is where digestive enzymes are often needed, and because you tend to have a faster digestive transit time, you may have some issues with absorbing the nutrients. So again, this is where you really got to back off on the fat and take it very, very slow to heal the gut and the biliary tract and get it optimal before you push a lot of fat. So you don't, with a Roux-en-Y, frequent feed, smaller volume. And as you see that you're tolerating it, I usually tell people add a pat of butter to your meal once a day and do that for a couple weeks, and then do it to 2 meals a day for a couple weeks, and then 3 meals a day. And then if you're tolerating that, you probably have conquered it and you'll be in pretty good shape. But yes, you are missing out on nutrients, but you're eating the most, when you're carnivore, you're eating the most nutrient dense food that you could be eating. So you'll probably be okay in the long run. There are some people that develop vitamin B12 deficiency because of something called lack of intrinsic factor, which is a hormone, and it depends on whether when they took your stomach out, they left enough cells of your body to produce intrinsic factor, because they basically take out a lot of your stomach on that. So you do have to be checked for B12 deficiency, and some people have to go on B12 injections after a Roux-en-Y. But that's pretty easy vitamin to measure.
That's awesome.
All right, Gunther, welcome. And let's rapid fire through the rest of these, because I do have to go eat dinner with the mother-in-law in the next, I want to say 30 minutes. So let's hold off on super chats, guys. We really do appreciate them, but I don't want to get to the end and then we get super chats. So let's hold off on those. We will be going through as many as possible now. Gunther says, I do a high-fat, 100% grass-fed lion diet, 2 meals a day, but I feel intense fatigue 2 hours eating. I don't have typical histamine intolerance symptoms. Could post-meal fatigue be due to histamine intolerance? Lindy, have you
What do you
ever
think?
struggled with histamine? Me?
No
Well,
histamine.
No histamine. Todd, how about you?
No.
No, I don't think it's histamine. I think it's probably insulin resistance. I'm just guessing, but that's what it was for me. It takes a while to, for your fasted insulin levels to get down, and that insulin resistance, if you are insulin resistant, that can make you really sleepy after eating, even on carnivore for a while.
Yeah. So I did struggle with histamine intolerance for a couple months there, because I knew that I had it. When I eat aged meat, when I used to eat aged meat, my skin issues like the eczema and the psoriasis would flare up, and it would almost feel like I was having an allergic reaction. And there were some times where I would have legit hives. So I would have raised welts on my skin and it was so itchy, and it wouldn't go down until I actually took an antihistamine. So I don't know if you recommend this, Phil, but for those who are not sure if they're having it, would you recommend taking an antihistamine if they're itching and they're having almost like an allergic reaction, to take one and see if it helps, to know if they have it?
Yeah, I think an N=1 experiment of taking 1 dose of Benadryl, and Benadryl is the most sedating antihistamine, but it's also the most effective one if you're doing a one-time dose for a trial to see if it helps, because some of the non-drowsy antihistamines work in some of the population and not the others, but Benadryl tends to work in everyone. And if it does help, there's a alternative called DAO that you can get over the counter, which is a supplement that helps cut down on your release of histamine. So it's a better alternative from an antihistamine, but the Benadryl test can be helpful unless you have what we call a contraindication or a medical reason, you like glaucoma, that you couldn't take the 25 milligrams of Benadryl. But that's a quick test. It's over the counter and it's simple to do. The other thing with post-meal fatigue, I'm always in the back of my mind wondering if the person could have obstructive sleep apnea. And is the person snoring? Is it possible you're not getting restful sleep? And then after you eat, your body is just wanting to rest, because there's nothing wrong with post-meal fatigue. In fact,
Right.
if you go to Spanish societies, people take a nap after lunch. It's very healing, and so you lean into it. But if you're really obese and you're a snorer, you might want to discuss, is this daytime drowsiness as opposed to postprandial fatigue, they're two different things. So sometimes people misinterpret what they're dealing with.
Good point. Keep us posted, Gunther. Hey, Sid. Thanks for answering my question. I'm so glad I found you all. I feel better already. Sid. Well, we're so happy you're here and that you found it helpful. Come back every Friday, because we have these live streams every week and we want to hear from you. Keep us posted.
Join the SBG gang. We really like it there.
Hang out with us even more in there. Yeah, that's right.
For sure.
Okay, David, welcome. Thank you so much. I have autoimmune HEP, and I want to know how use can carnivore diet be for me? So will it help his autoimmune HEP? What does that stand for?
Autoimmune hepatitis.
Okay. What do you think?
That's inflammation of the liver. We have a lot of people in the community. I can't say for you whether it will or not. I think the odds are best that they will help you. we've seen a lot of people with non-alcoholic hepatitis reverse it in the carnivore community. So I think detoxing your body of all the chemicals that are in our processed food and things is always good. A lot of liver damage occurs due to overload of glucose in our bodies due to metabolic syndrome and diabetes. And you get these overburden with stored glucose in your liver that as you get metabolic syndrome reversed and insulin resistance reversed, your liver is able to heal itself and to regenerate. And I would encourage you to go on carnivore. I don't think you have to do anything special to adapt to it. But the exception would be if you have known elevated ammonia levels. So, and that would mean that you have total cirrhosis of your liver. And I would be very cautious doing carnivore without your doctor being engaged with that and being able to measure it. But most people that have autoimmune hepatitis or non-fatty liver disease do not have high levels of ammonia. High levels of ammonia mean that you've burned out your liver pretty completely. And it's a whole different regimen you got to do. So I'm just going to put that caveat in there.
Thank you, Phil.
Perfect. All right. And then, Jackie, I appreciate the super sticker, but I do not see a comment to go with it.
It's okay. She's just appreciative.
Thank you so much. And then we'll go up here now. Maybe some rapid fire. We finally got to this one. We tried to get to about an hour and a half ago.
Literally at the top of the hour.
So can someone with chronic kidney disease go on carnivore? Absolutely. We have people in the community that are in all stages of CKD from stage 2 to stage 5. We have guys on dialysis doing carnivore and they're feeling great. And often, I mean, our experience with CKD is you normally improve by a level on carnivore because you're getting adequate protein. And it seems to be healing. And there was this misnomer that because a lot of people with CKD have protein in their urine, that they have to restrict protein. And the studies have really shown that that's actually the opposite direction what we should go. You're leaking protein from your liver and you actually giving more protein, you are giving more nutrients to actually help the kidney and the liver to heal. So I said liver there a second ago, I meant your kidney, but that's what our experience is. So go for it.
Sure.
I mean, just myself, 6 years in the carnivore community, in the Steak and Butter Gang and outside on socials, I see people saying they've reversed their kidney disease all the time. Okay. So there's just so much hope around this specific type of health concern and disease. So try it, keep us posted. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to add that I have a family member who was in stage 2 to 3, in between 2 and 3, some readings would be down in the under 50, some would be in the 60s of the estimated GFR, glomerular filtration rate. It is now up in the 80s just from going keto. So not even going full carnivore. So there is something about getting more protein in ketogenic diets on helping kidneys to function better.
Amazing. Okay, Bella, what do you do about sweet cravings? My first few months, I ate butter. Every time I had a sweet craving, if you haven't heard this yet, where have you been? I talk about it in every single video. If not butter, like let's say thinking about biting out of a stick of butter kind of grosses you out a little bit, then have a designated food like boiled eggs. Although boiled eggs is not fatty enough, in my opinion, have something high fat, flank and short ribs. Phil loves pork belly. Okay, something so fatty that it just hits that satiation, and you have to eat it every single time that craving pops up. I promise you it'll go away.
For sure.
Yeah, and you want something pre-med in the fridge.
Yes.
You know, when you're having sugar craving, that's not the time to go rummaging through. You want to be proactive. Make up some bacon. That's an easy one.
Like cook a ton of bacon. So what Phil is saying here is you have to make sure that meat or that designated food is ready to eat. So if you have raw bacon in the fridge, that doesn't count because your sugar craving is there, and then yet you have to cook and wait for the air fryer to be done. That's too late. No wonder you always slip off, right? We see it all the time. It's not just you. So stay prepared. Okay, Ruth,
yeah, and I don't get sweet cravings, but I've been pouring, you know, my steak liquid fat out of my air fryer and putting it in a square Pyrex dish, letting it harden overnight in the refrigerator. Then I break it into basically tallow bark, throw it in Ziploc bags, throw it in the freezer. There's nothing like tallow bark when you're having a craving.
Right. That's a great tip. Okay, Ruth, by the way, you're the winner of the air fryer, so make sure you email us, okay? So this is for Lindy. How long did it take for your hair to stop falling out? Mine has been falling for 2 months, even though I've upped my fats.
Yeah, a good 3 to 4 months at least, I started to notice it slowing down. So it's not instant. Just keep eating. Don't undereat. That's the biggest thing. I found I was under eating and I was restricting fats, which caused my hair to fall out. So make sure you're eating enough and have the fats. It's time, 3 to 4 months at least before it started to slow down, and now it's stopped. So now I'm hoping for new growth.
Awesome. Hey, Dawn. Will eating a stick of butter cause me to have too much fat? I usually eat a large can of chicken, which is 78 grams of protein for lunch, and thought I needed fat. If you're only eating chicken, then you could really benefit from a stick of butter. But I don't know where you got the whole idea of eating a whole stick of butter. Is it from Dr. Bright? Is it from me? At the end of the day, you have to eat the butter that works for you. So just because I ate a stick of butter every day doesn't mean you have to or you should. Unless you're following Dr. Bright's protocol, which then that makes sense because she actually does recommend her clients to eat at least 1 stick of butter a day. But research Dr. Bright first and understand why she recommends that. Don't just blindly follow stick of butter a day. And Dawn, if you're a guy, you may not need as much fat as us women. So some things to think about. Todd, how about you?
You end up with disaster pants. You're not careful for sure. No, I just go by taste. Whatever. If one fat tastes good, I eat more of it. When it doesn't taste, as good, then I eat more leaner meat, or which not even lean meat, but I eat ribeye and I eat less of the big white fat chunky parts and more of the meat part. And that's as simple. Now that's where I'm at, and it works really good for me right now. Ruth has a follow-up for us.
Oh, hi, Ruth. I'm a faithful watcher of SBG. Wow, thank you. I just have not joined the group yet. I am planning to soon. Oh, we would love to see you in the meetings in SBG and get to meet you.
Yeah, say hi to us. That'd be awesome.
Please do.
Lots of Zoom calls. I don't think that people understand what the Steak of Butter Gang is. It is a carnivore community, but it's mostly through Zoom calls. And I'm bringing that up because most people don't understand. They think it's a text, like an app or
like the website.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for that, Todd. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It is so much more than just a website. Although it is a website, it's also an app. It's also a 24/7 chat box, but it's also and mostly and most importantly Zoom meetings. So yes, that's a good point. We should specify more. And I think that's why you see the community so strong in the live chats that we have here, and also all throughout my YouTube comments, Instagram even. I always see people like, I'm an SBG member, or I can't wait to go to the next meetup. It's a very strong, connected family. And you can't really reach that level of connection unless you actually have Zoom calls. unfortunately. Of course, the best case scenario is to do in-person meetings and classes all the time, but Carnivore is an international tribe now. So Zoom meetings really do connect on all of us on a whole different level. And that's what I mean when I say you can literally talk to Todd. He has meetings that he hosts in there. Lindy has meetings. She is at all the meetings. Phil is so amazing answering all of the difficult questions, helping the members. It's just a different level of connection. So thanks for that, Todd.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right, Larks, this is for Dr. Smith. Where can I find a list of the research to support carnivore to share with my cardiologist? DX, Kawasaki, aneurysm. So the same question as last time. Same person.
There are some really good carnivore doctors out there that have created libraries of really good content. And so most of them will reference scientific articles in their presentation. So Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Robert Sias, can you do these, Lindy? Put them in the chat for me.
Oh, I got it. I can spell it really
Okay.
quick.
Yeah,
Can you
Robert
say it again?
Sias is
Yes.
Dr. Ken Berry,
Perfect.
Dr. Robert Cyrus.
Yep. Done.
For infertility, Dr. Robert Kiltz.
Dr. Kiltz. Yep.
For visceral fat, Dr. Sean O'Mara, SEA, and Sean
Yep.
O'Mara. Dr. Baker.
Yep. Dr. Chafee.
Did I get Chafee? Anthony's Chafee. Tony Hampton, Dr. Tony Hampton. And then there's quite a few PhDs that have excellent content on metabolic diseases, like Dr. Ben Bickman, Bikman, on cancer, Dr. Thomas Seifried out of Boston University. These are PhD doctors. Dr. Lisa Wiedemann.
Yep.
Wiedemann, who's our lipedema expert?
Leslyn Keith.
Leslyn, yes.
Leslyn Keith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Leslyn Keith. And there's more, but I'm sure I'm missing. But if you start watching, go in and search their channel, so put their name in and then the topic you're interested in researching, you're likely to find things for a variety of diseases, and probably not Kawasaki's. I doubt if there's any good carnivore content on Kawasaki's because it's so rare. But Crohn's disease, there's a lot of people in the community who have made videos on their Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, and those are the two inflammatory bowel diseases that go together. So the difference is ulcerative colitis is localized only to the colon, the large intestine, and Crohn's can hit both the colon and the small intestine, but it does it in a patchy way, not the whole colon like ulcerative colitis does. And so anyway, I hope that helps you start finding things that you're looking for.
Great list of doctors. Yeah. Okay.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Okay, let's see how many we can get through, and then we'll do the second air fryer giveaway in 15 minutes. Okay, Anik, after how long will I start losing weight? I am frustrated. I'm eating only animal products, meaning bacon, eggs, steak, butter, goat cheese, water, green tea, and hibiscus tea. 5 weeks in. So 5 weeks. That's just over a month. Don't expect to lose weight just a month in. I mean, we see carnivores don't lose weight until a couple months in, maybe even a year in. Myself, I gained weight my first few months. So I went the other way. And then I started to plateau, and finally the weight stopped gaining. And then after a couple more months, that's when I started to lose. And now 6 years in, I continue to get body recomposition. It's absolutely the long game with carnivore. It is not a cheat sheet or cheat code for fast weight loss. It's a way to heal first and then get to your healthy body weight. Lindy, what are your thoughts?
unless you're 700 plus pounds, then it's easy to lose weight very quickly because there's a lot of inflammation and fluid and, you name it. So, yeah, now that I'm getting closer to my goals, I find it is getting harder to lose the weight. So, yeah, just hang in there, keep going. And look, I keep saying it too. I've been in the community for 3 years now. This is what keeps me going. And you just learn so many tools that you can sort of tweak and learn about your body. So it's really nice to have that community support behind you and know that you're not the only one that stalls and stops every now and then. So yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, and I just want to share that every week in SVG, we have what's called the NSV call, which stands for non-scale victories. And it's so inspirational because so many people come into the carnivore community with because they're underweight or overweight, and they want to solve that problem, either gain weight or lose weight. And what they find is they have these amazing health benefits that they really weren't looking for, but they just start occurring. And we have this call every week called the NSV call, where people live share new things that have happened in their body. And it is friggin' amazing. You have no idea. After a while, you just quit worrying about your weight, and you could have spent a lifetime worrying about your weight, but then you begin to see health changes that become so dramatic that
For sure.
you get less and less fixated on your weight and more about proper health and proper body composition, which is so important. Because when your body starts changing and looking better and your clothes fit better, that is an amazing phenomenon, because that you'll have that for life.
100%.
Well said. Yep. Okay. From Mrs. Hooligan, Dr. Phil, can you please offer advice on optical hypertension / glaucoma?
Yeah. So I don't have much personal experience with it, even though my grandfather went blind in one eye before he knew he had glaucoma. And what glaucoma is when there's a mismatch between your production of the aqueous fluid, that is what keeps the shape of your eye. So it's the clear fluid that's in your eyeball that gives it the round shape. And it's an overproduction or a under processing. So you either can't drain it or you're overproducing it, and you get increased pressure because anytime you take a closed space and try to pack more fluid in it, the pressure increases. And so overproduction can be due to inflammatory processes. Under drainage is usually due to an obstruction of the flow, which can also be inflammatory in some people and can be anatomic in others. So anything that's going to reduce inflammation in your body may very, very well help. But sometimes people with glaucoma need surgical interventions where they do lasers to poke holes in the area where the aqueous fluid drains to improve it, and or they use eye drops. But you really need to be under the treatment of an ophthalmologist who's an MD that takes care of this. Most ophthalmologists do treat it, but my suspicion is that long-term carnivores will probably improve their glaucoma just because of why people get in the first place, because we don't have a clear indication for why people get in the first place. And we used to say, oh, it's probably genetic and we get it. But I think as we see more and more of these diseases start going away, we begin to think about why do we see more glaucoma today? Is it due to our diets? And I suspect it probably does have a factor. So I would treat your glaucoma and be curious, and every 6 months, see where the pressure's at and ask your doctor, how am I doing? Can I try a trial off of, cutting down on the drops, or maybe cutting down on one eye and seeing what happens and being frequently monitored? I would be curious myself if a person could resolve glaucoma. I don't know if you will or won't, but it would make sense to me that if I had glaucoma, I would certainly want to bridge it with medication, and then somewhere down the road, see if I still need the medication. That's just my thought. I haven't seen any studies on it yet. So again, glaucoma is fairly common compared to like Kawasaki's disease, but if anyone in the community has some experience on resolving glaucoma, I would be interested in hearing about it, because I think it just makes sense that it certainly shouldn't make it worse and could possibly make it better.
Awesome.
Thank you, Phil. Serafina, Bella, do you have advice for an athlete just starting carnivore? I'm struggling with energy and I'm getting lightheaded. Okay. Well, I'm not an athlete. Okay. But maybe you saw my videos sharing that I am starting to move more and focus on some training, weight training, resistance training. And I'll tell you that the first thing you can do is just get fat adapted and just adapt it on carnivore, because once you're adapted, your energy is going to be amazing. You'll have energy to want to move, to want to be an awesome athlete if that's what you are. And if you're having lightheadedness, first thing you can do is just salt your meat heavier. You don't even need to lean on the electrolytes just yet. First test if it's salt that your body needs. If you find the lightheadedness goes away, great. You just needed some extra salt. Done. Or you can also just eat more in general, because we see that a lot here. Under-eating is common. Under-eating is very easy on carnivore. So 2 things to try, Serafina: eat more, salt heavier. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Missy, this is for you, Todd. Are you going to the COSI in Las Vegas, February 8th and 9th, 2025?
I've been thinking about it. I don't know if I get enough time. I think you and Max are going to be on a cruise ship, aren't you, at that time, Bella?
Unfortunately, we're going to be on the other side in Tampa. But what is that?
It's what do they call it? I think it's called the Citizen Collective Science whatever fair or something. But I know Ken Berry's speaking at it, and Dr. Westman speaking at it, and so so I was thinking about it because it is pretty close. So if I get a little bit of time, I was thinking about squeezing over there and checking it out for sure, because that is something that'd be fun to start looking at in the future, especially for future SBG events, because especially with somebody like a Dr. Phil, that'd be a good place for your science background or whatever, So
yeah, it sounds real fun. I got to go to Consumer Electronics Show one year. That just blew me away.
That's awesome.
To see 120,000 people in one place for a week. That is like crazy.
Wow. Well, so the answer is a definite maybe. I guess on that one. So.
Nice. Have fun. Amy, hi all, new to carnivore. I'm a week in, and today's the first day that I have low energy. Same advice for you, Amy. Salt more, okay? And then the second thing you can try, eat more, and keep us posted. My agent, Susan, my husband keeps telling me that eating all of his fat cannot be good for me. And just today said now that there are studies out there that beef causes dementia. Okay. Is this correct? Todd, what do you have to say?
I say, has not eating all this fat helped the planet any? Helped our population. 74% of us are sick, and just look around. So clearly something is pretty wrong. This is why I love the SBG meetings. It's so fun. Like today when when one of the members was talking about getting their DEXA scan, and he was just blown away that everything that he knew, because he's a personal trainer, and these things, and everything that he knew about calories was nonsense, right? And he's experiencing, he's like, I had over 1,800 calories for breakfast and I'm losing too much weight. I'm getting so lean, and I lost 10 out of 11 pounds of visceral fat. So yeah, I mean, it's clear that something is off, and maybe it's time to not just swallow the status quo right now, because it's not working. It'd be one thing if everybody was healthy, but everybody's not
Exactly.
healthy, and it's getting
Most
ugly
people
to
aren't.
look outside and watch all the sick, inflamed, miserable, depressed
Yeah.
people that are walking around, that is becoming the norm. And then to still argue for the status quo that's gotten us all there. It's like, maybe it's time to do something different if this is the result.
Yeah.
That's right.
I also, when you look at the studies where, meat causes diabetes, meat causes dementia, they're just hilarious, because they'll look at people and they'll do their epidemiologic studies. So they'll look at a population, and they're not cause and effect studies. They're just observational studies. And what they'll say is, oh, we surveyed, studied 10,000 people, and we determined their diet by asking them once a year, what did you eat in the past year? What percent of meat, what percent of vegetables, what percent of fruit? And then we're going to look at those populations divided on who's eating more meat, who's eating more vegetables, who's eating more fruit, who's vegan, who's whatever. And then we're going to try to make associations of what's the disease prevalence in those populations. Well, if I asked you, any of you, let's ask the panel, if I asked you what percentage of fat, what percentage of, animal products, and what percentage of fruit and what percentage of vegetables was your diet before you became carnivore. And I asked you that on Monday and then asked you again on Tuesday, I'd probably get different answers, because it's just a wild ass guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's no science about it. And a lot of these studies, when you dig into them, they're just survey studies, and they're trying to just ask people a lot of questions and then see, based on how you answered the question, are the outcomes different? And they're not what we call strong evidence. They're weak evidence, but they get published because the person that has an agenda wants them published for some reason. I'll just leave it at that. So we see a lot of people's mental acuity get better on carnivore. In fact, we have several names for it, but we see people cognitive function improve. We have carnivore calm. We have carnivore courage. We have lack of brain fog. Things that people talk about every day on the NSV calls, improvement in anxiety and depression. And if low-fat diets were the way to go, then why, ever since the food pyramid was introduced, our population has gotten sicker by decade?
Right.
And you can go look at obesity in the United States, and they have a diagram, epidemiologic diagram by state on what percent of the population was obese by decade. And if you look at every decade since the food pyramid, you will see that every state in the union has gotten worse, as we've been promoting, more grains, more fruits and vegetables, and less meat and dairy, and low-fat diets. So you just have to look at the evidence for yourself, because people with agendas will try to tell you about some study that had an agenda behind it in the first place and wasn't done with any scientific rigor.
Right. And I mean, I don't know, what was that study that did like 4 years ago, I read about that. They said they did a study on cardiologists, and heart disease is still the number one killer of cardiologists. It's the same as the regular population. And so it's like, if it was working, why is that the case? If that information was,
Yeah.
was the Bible, why is that the case? And it's like crazy.
Yeah. So there's a good saying that has come out of the political landscape of the last year, which is trust your eyes. Sometimes you got to trust your eyes over what you're being told.
For sure. 100%. And on that note, I think it's time to set our eyes on
Give away an air
prize.
fryer.
Yeah, set our eyes on the prize here, which is a tasty air fryer. So you guys ready to do it, Dan? Here we go.
Yes.
And yeah, we got.
By the way, I want to shout out Brett before I forget. Brett, Hoosier Carnivore, love you. Thank you so much for moderating and helping. It really means a lot. Okay, thank you, Brett. Okay,
Thanks
congratulations
so
to Crystal L.
Crystal
All right,
L.
Crystal L. If you hear this or see this, quickly screenshot. Okay, so screenshot this, get the photo, email it to us at sbgchallenge@gmail.com to claim your tasty air fryer prize. Congratulations, Crystal. And by the way, we have actually 30 air fryers to give away this month because Tasty is very generous and they are very supportive of the carnivore diet and the carnivore community, all of us. And most of those air fryers are going to be given away in our community, the Steak and Butter Gang, but we will be giving away 2 every single week here on our Friday live streams. Okay, so just come back and we'll continue to give away air fryers, just so you guys know. Right?
And air frying is my favorite way to make a steak now. It's quick, it's easy. I can do it from frozen. So I never have an excuse to not have a steak. There's some days I'm making lots of meat and I'll get the grill out, but when I'm just making something for myself, an air fryer is one of the most important tools in your kitchen when you're carnivore.
Yeah, 1,000%. I love smoked meat, and that's still my favorite meat, but I still eat more air fried meat than smoked meat because it's so convenient, so clean, so quick. Yeah, air fried steak is absolute foundational tool in carnivore.
And lamb is even better. And I don't think you can do lamb better than in an air fryer. Lamb lollipops and lamb chops are just to die for in the air fryer.
Yum. I have to try that. I usually do it in the oven, but that sounds great. Great. Any announcements we should be making, Todd?
Yes, Lindy's GoFundMe. I'm going to bring that up one more time because she hates it and I'm going to get beat up anyway, so I might as well earn it. So Lindy, she's signed up for skin reduction surgery in just a couple of weeks. And she was on the list for over a year. And there we go. And we, let me put that in the chat. We set her up a GoFundMe because she wasn't going to be able to afford it because unfortunately in our broken medical systems, even here in the United States and in Australia, they will fund you being sick on sugar and carbs. But boy, as soon as you lose 500 pounds like Lindy did and need to get 50 pounds of skin that's weighing you down off, they want to charge you tens of thousands of dollars and they won't cover it because that makes some kind of sense, doesn't it? So, and Lindy's just selfless and always helping everybody in the carnivore community and never asked for anything. So we got together and started our GoFundMe and we're very close to that goal. So any help you can give, even if it's not money, if it's just passing along on social media, we appreciate it so much.
That's right. How close are we? Because Miss Hooligan wants to know how it's going.
It's going very good. I think we are 77% to our goal. We're about it's about $8,000 away Australian, which I think is about 5,500-ish US dollars. So yeah, it's getting very, very close. It's nothing short of a miracle. We thank everybody so much that's helped. It's incredible. This is the last kind of home court press here because I think she's got about 7 more days to make the deposit.
really?
And so we're so close. So it's
All
incredible.
right, community. In these next 7 days, let's come together. If you cannot contribute, just share the link. We would really appreciate it on your socials, whatever groups you might be in, carnivores, whatever, if you can't contribute. But if you can, I think we can definitely get there in the next few days. And we love you, Lindy. It's like one of my favorite things to see in this community is the overwhelming amount of love and support for Lindy. And it's so well-deserved. It's so well-deserved. And this gift that we can give her, she deserves it. Seriously. So
100%.
let's come together for this. Link is in the description box for that too, if you guys want a clickable link.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. But that was all I had. Well, that and Hack Your Health. Are we there? What was the coupon code? It was Carnivore, right?
Carnivore. Yeah, I'll just wrap up with any upcoming meetups because I know you guys love them. I do too. We've got a Tampa meetup coming up in just a few weeks, February 8th, February 9th. And you guys can go to kiltsmeetup.com. It's in the live chat to book your tickets there. I'll be there. Dr. Kiltz, fantastic carnivore docs, your favorites. We'll all be there to hang out. And then we've got the biggest one coming up, Hack Your Health. Dr. Phil here will be presenting with us, most of the SBG team, talking about very important things. I'll also be leading another panel with awesome carnivores. It's just a great convention, probably the biggest carnivore convention. And that is linked in the description box, also in Tampa, Florida. And the discount code is all caps carnivore for $100 off your ticket. Okay?
And we'll probably have a meetup during that time, right?
For
Phil?
sure.
Absolutely, we will. Yep.
For sure.
So we'll keep you posted on that. All right. Thank you guys so much. We love you. Come back next week. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.